Have you heard the term duty dating? That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of One-Derful Life. Hi, I'm Ditman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. One-Derful Life is my way of describing how it feels when you've made peace with being single. I know there are plenty of women out there who want to be single and they say, I don't want a man, but I've never felt that way. I've always wanted to be married and have a family, but I'm well over 40 and that hasn't happened for me, and it's always been a source of sadness for me because part of my definition of a fulfilled life includes being a wife and a mother. But I got to the point where I said, look, the singleness doesn't seem to be changing, and it might not change, and I just want to be happy. And that's what One-Derful Life is about. It's about being happy and content in your life, even if you don't have the relationship that you want. It's not about getting you to a place where you just don't want a man, and it's not about resigning and giving up and just, I better just make it work, I'm going to be alone forever. That's not One-Derful Life. One-Derful Life is about being happy and excited about your life. That's the kind of vibe that will attract your Mr. Right, but even if he never shows up, you're happy anyway. Now, if you are dating, you may have heard the term duty dating. Duty dating is a term that was coined by Dr. Pat Allen, and it's the idea that you go on as many dates as you can. Basically, if a decent guy asks you on a date, you go. Now, Patti Stanger, who is the millionaire matchmaker, gives similar advice. She says you should always have a pair and a spare, meaning you have two guys that you really like and one that is probably more like in the friend zone, but it could turn into something maybe. And the reason why you would want to duty date is because it keeps you from getting hung up on one guy. A lot of times women, when one guy asks them out, even if they haven't gone on a date, they won't even go out with anybody else because they think, well, I don't want him to think I'm not loyal. But the truth is, unless you have a specific, explicit conversation with a man where he says he wants to be exclusive, you should just anticipate that he's probably dating other people, and you should as well. Now, I used to duty date, and I do see the value in it. It's kind of like going on every job interview that you can. Like, even if you know that you probably wouldn't want the job, you go on interviews so that you can practice. And that way, when the job comes along that you really do want, you're fine with the interview because you've had so much practice. But the downside with duty dating is that you go out with someone and you might even know right up front that you're really not interested. Or let's say you go out 2 or 3 times and you're like, this isn't the guy for me, but you just keep going out because he keeps asking and you haven't met anyone that you liked better. The problem is that he might be developing interest in you or an emotional attachment to you, and you're really leading him on. Now, one of the pieces of advice that I have received in the past is when you break up with someone, immediately start dating. And I have gone through breakups where I did that. And there's pros and cons to it. I mean, one of the pros is that if you're feeling hurt and rejected, then attention from other men can help you feel better. Number 2, you're going to feel better if you get dressed and do your hair and put on your makeup and go out and enjoy yourself and take your focus off you and get to know someone else. And, you can cry at home by yourself after the date. But the downside is that if you're feeling hurt and vulnerable and you're out there trying to date, then you're really not in a good, confident, strong place. I went through a really painful breakup and I immediately started getting out there to date, and a gentleman asked me out and I was super excited about him. We talked on the phone and I was just really excited to meet him. And then he stood me up and it really hurt my feelings. And ordinarily, I wouldn't have had much of a response to that. I would have just been like, okay, whatever, you're a jerk. But I was already really hurt and vulnerable. And so that was just like a really painful situation for me. So then I felt doubly hurt and doubly rejected. So for me personally, I don't duty date anymore for two major reasons. Number one, the guy might really like me and I don't like him, and it's really not fair. And you're basically using the person. And if you've ever been used, you know it doesn't feel good. But secondly, for me personally, I think it's just excruciating to spend time with someone that you know you don't like. And I don't mean like you don't like him as a person. I mean, you're not interested in him. And I've seen articles in the news about women, especially in larger cities, that are using dates as ways to get a free dinner. And I've had some of my friends say that to me. Well, at least you got a free dinner. I don't need a free dinner, okay? I can take myself anywhere I want to go and buy my own dinner. I don't need to tolerate an excruciating evening with someone I am not interested in just to get dinner. Frankly, I'd rather just sit home, make my own dinner, and enjoy it. Now, some women develop chemistry or attraction over time. I'm not one of those women, and I tried to be. There have been men that I've dated that were good on paper. Like, you're thinking, I should really like this guy. He likes me, he's got a good job, he's a good person, there's nothing wrong with him, he's decent looking, but for whatever reason, the chemistry just isn't there. And like, I've tried to make myself develop feelings over time, but I just don't. Now, sometimes a first date, I can't always be sure, do I like him, or was I just nervous? Was it just the excitement of meeting someone new? But normally by the second date, I know if I am interested in him or not. I know. And like I said, I used to keep things going hoping that my feelings would kick in. And the problem was that then the guy would start developing feelings for me. And that's just not fair. It's a form of using the guy because you're hoping that he's going to do something, or you're going to magically flip the switch and your feelings are going to kick in. But, if you've ever had someone do that to you, it just doesn't feel right. Now, only you know how long it's going to take you to develop attraction for someone. If you're the kind of woman that if you knew someone for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, that it might take you that long to fall in love and feel attracted or feel that chemistry, if that's even important to you. Some women don't care about chemistry or attraction. They're just really looking for a best friend. No problem. I don't want that. I have enough friends. I'm looking for a man that I have that chemistry and that spark with. Now, like I said, if you want to duty date, I recommend strongly that you are over your last heartbreak. And if you need help with that, you might want to check out our ABCs of Healing. It's a free video where we show you how to resolve your heartache and move on so that you can enjoy your life or duty date. You can get that if you go to bit.ly/ABCs of Healing. And One-Derful Life is a dialogue, not a monologue. So we want to hear from you. I want to know from you, do you duty date? Put that in the comments. You can always connect with us at wonderfullife.com. We post a new blog there every Friday. You may want to join our newsletter list, and we have lots of cute Wonderful Life stuff for you to check out as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on One-Derful Life.